Hi, this is House Reed, my A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones theorising channel, where I'll talk about my ideas about Game of Thrones and the world of A Song of Ice and Fire in general. I'm a writer and love coming up with theories for stuff, but most of my information comes from watching the series on TV. I've only read 2 of the books, and so I guess my theories are going to be based on this information, but also the information that I've gleaned from other videos around the internet on this subject, and putting these things together and coming up with some theories which range in terms of highly speculative and tinfoily to quite obvious and practical. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about the mysterious place in Essos known as Asshai, and I've been thinking a lot about it, and I came up with a few ideas, and as soon as I came up with those ideas, I did the first thing that any fan of theorising about stuff would do, which is to call up one of my friends and explain the theory that I had to them. So what you're about to hear is a recording of a Skype conversation between me and my friend, with my voice explaining to them what it is my theory was. Be warned, the sound quality of this is a little poor because I was using the microphone that's built into my laptop instead of the Zoom mic that I'm now using to record this. There's a place in Westeros, or in the East Essos, called Asshai.
Called?
Asshai.
Asshai?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yes. We've seen a few people who are from there. One of the people is that Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
And the other person is, do you remember in Carth, there was a woman who had like her face covered with a weird shawl who gave prophecies and stuff?
I remember that.
She met Daenerys, and told her a bunch of prophecies, like, to go forward, you must go back. To go west, you must go east, and that sort of stuff.
What?
So basically, Asshai is like this weird place where all of the prophecies and all of the magic seems to come from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, and you don't hear that much about it, so I thought I'd want to check it out, right?
Today, talking about Asshai. Asshai by the Shadow, which is the most mysterious and secluded city in all of A Song of Ice and Fire. It's at the edge of the world, supposedly. The voice you just heard is obviously not mine. It's the host of a channel called Ideas of Ice and Fire, which is an excellent channel that you should all check out, and the link will be in the description below. He will provide you with a bit of background on Asshai. What I didn't know was that it's made entirely of the same greasy black stone that's all over the planet. And the Asshai, the people that live in Asshai have no idea who built the city. They don't even claim to know. They're just yep, it's always been here and it will always be here. So they have no idea who fucking built the city. So it appears that there's been a civilization in Westeros that basically was there before basically everyone. Because who built Asshai? And plus, the fact that it's a place where there's so much magic practiced is, pretty wild. I mean, what exactly was this ancient civilization all about, Why do they have all this stuff all over the planet? This greasy black stone shit, and why are it's weird. No one gives a fuck. Everyone hides their face in Asshai. It's a dark city. It's covered in I don't want to say smog, but the book describes it as ash that blocks out the sun, so it's always dark. The water in Asshai, if you can't drink it, it's like black and it glows at night, and it has all these like weird fish. Imagine like fish that you'd see at like the bottom of the ocean in a nature documentary, like the glowing, weird, creepy, deformed fish. Like, you don't eat those fucking fish. It says in the book that only like shadowbinders or like fools ever eat fish from the fucking water in Asshai, because you just don't. Also, nothing grows in Asshai except ghost grass, so they have to get all their fucking shit shipped in. And also, what's fucking crazy is that there are no children in Asshai, and also no animals in Asshai. So that's weird. It says that animals that are brought to Asshai just die. Just fucking die. Like horses and fucking dogs, mules, donkeys, camels, all those types of animals just fucking die. It's like soon after they're brought to Asshai. So there are no animals in Asshai. I presume the same thing happens to children. I don't know why, but it says here that perhaps they're more susceptible to the chemicals in the water or the ash or something. But it's very, very odd, I think.
Bearing that in mind about the description of Asshai, we'll go back to my conversation over Skype with my friend.
Right, so what when you hear all of that, what does it sound like to you? If it was taken out of a fantasy context and just anywhere, what would you think could happen there?
What would I think had happened?
Yes, to make it as it is.
Sorry? To make it as it is?
Yeah.
Heavy industry? I don't know. Why?
Don't you
what's
think
the
it
relevance?
kind of sounds like Chernobyl?
Does it sound like Chernobyl? Potentially, I guess.
So, my friend doesn't sound particularly convinced. But, let's have a look at a description of Chernobyl by someone who's actually there to see if it matches up with any of the descriptions of Asshai. This is some audio taken from the channel Veritasium, which I'll try and post a link in the description if I can find it, of a guy standing in Chernobyl and describing what is around him.
That is Chernobyl nuclear reactor number 4. It melted down on April 26, 1986. So what happened was so much heat was generated inside that reactor that it basically blew the top off, spreading radioactive isotopes throughout this whole surrounding area and over into Europe. And that is why we can still detect the contamination here today. And they covered it in that sarcophagus, which is kind of crumbling as it ages. And so they're actually building a brand new containment facility over here, which, when it's finished, will be slid over on top of the old containment, on top of the old sarcophagus. The town of Pripyat was built just a few kilometers away from the reactor, mostly to house the families of the people who worked there. And now it is completely abandoned. So now you can find all of these high-rise Soviet apartments completely empty and crumbling, and the forest is basically reclaiming this whole town. When the residents of Pripyat were told to evacuate, they were told that they would only be away for 2 weeks. So they left most of their belongings exactly where they were, and they never came back, so their lives are on display here.
Doesn't that sound somewhat familiar? An abandoned city which is there for the taking from the new people who live in Asshai. So let's get back to the Skype conversation and really dig deeper into this idea.
I think like mutated animals, ash, or the river is called the River Ash, and there's like a smog that hangs over the place, making it dark. No food can grow there. Everyone who goes there gets deformed. They have to wear like masks on the streets and all that kind of stuff. To me, that really, really sounds like a nuclear power plant that went meltdown. Really, really.
Okay. Well, I think the thing is that if you had a nuclear meltdown, you wouldn't have smog.
You'd have ash.
Yeah, you might have ash.
Yeah, and so imagine if right, just for a second, that there was a nuclear meltdown, right? That it was some sort of power plant and there was a nuclear meltdown, like a really bad one, and or like a nuclear explosion. It would have also have done weird things to the minerals in the soil, like often you find like glass and stuff in the soil, which would explain this peculiar black stone that they find everywhere. Right? But also what happens when there's a massive nuclear explosion is that there's a giant cloud of ash which is released, right? Which creates something called a nuclear winter.
So what exactly is a nuclear winter? Don't take my word for it. Let's go to a guy called Alan Robock and his TED talk on the subject of nuclear winter, where he describes one in the introduction.
Thanks for the warm welcome, but I'm here to tell you about something terrible. But you have to know about this problem because then we can solve it together. Here's our beautiful planet. But after a nuclear war, it might look like this, with smoke covering the planet, blocking out the sun, and making it cold and dark at the Earth's surface. And this would produce a nuclear winter. That is, the temperatures would get below freezing even in the summertime, which would kill all the crops and produce a global famine. We discovered this working in the 1980s. This is the most important work I've ever done as a climate scientist.
Sounds familiar? This idea of a dark time of constant cold and famine that would sweep the globe.
In the past of Game of Thrones, what is it they're always talking about? They're talking about the long winter.
Okay.
In their past, there was this period of time when there was like winter for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do we know that can do that? A nuclear explosion.
But then they're also talking about winter coming again.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it necessarily is.
Yeah, true.
Just talking about it. Like, with a bunch of stuff. Also, like, this, you if there was like a nuclear explosion and sort of mutations, it would explain loads of things about Game of Thrones. Because it would explain like all of the sort of the sort of funny people, like the Children of the Forest and the White Walkers and everyone like that, and just like genetic mutants.
I suppose so. Although they've found generally that Chernobyl hasn't had that impact.
Hasn't had the impact of creating mutants.
No.
Perhaps, but sorry?
Generally people do believe that, so...
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, it's an interesting idea to think that what if Game of Thrones is set not in the past, but in the future?
Yeah.
Because there's loads of things around in their world which are stuff that they couldn't have built with their technology.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads. There's like basically like what they call the Seven Wonders, which is like includes like the wall and other things like that. They're just so massive, and that giant statue of the sort of warrior guys striding across to that town. Is it is that Clark or no? It's somewhere else. But it suggested that there was a level of high technology earlier on.
Sure.
And a nuclear explosion could explain why they've been sort of thrust back into the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically the meat of my idea. It's just obviously speculation at this point, and perhaps we'll never find out what the origin of the original winter. But I think at the very least it is an interesting idea, and I hope you enjoyed it.